Alright, I am finally back with another video. I know it's been about a week, but I am super excited about today's topic, and I'll jump to all the liking and subscribing later. I just want to jump into today's topic. So, someone asked on a Facebook group that I'm a part of if they thought that Xbox releasing most of their titles on the Xbox and the PC would affect sales of the games on Xbox, and my immediate thought was no. And here's my reaction to that. My thought is, how can we spec a PC right now that would be comparable to next gen consoles? Because at the end of the day, that's going to determine whether or not people choose to buy a game on a console or the PC, because performance is very, very important. So, real quick, the first thing I want to do is look at what we should consider when we are looking at speccing out a PC. The first thing we have to know is the new consoles are 8 cores and 16 threads. They are Zen 2. The GPU is RDNA 2, which doesn't exist yet, but we know ray tracing is capable. We know that it's 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, but because it's an SoC, only one bank of RAM, so in a PC, you're going to have a memory bank of DDR4 and GDDR6 or GDDR5X on the GPU. So 2 banks of RAM, so that's going to be a little different here. And for the CPU, we know that it's Ryzen, so we know that we're going to want fast RAM. And then for storage, we know that it's PCIe NVMe drive. So it's NVMe, meaning it uses the PCI Express lanes. And we know for PS5 in particular that it's Gen 4, and that's very important because that has something to do with speed. And then game settings and benchmarks, we know that the games we're going to want are 4K 60 frames per second at high settings. And for a teraflop comparison, we also know that they're between 10 and 12 teraflops for the 2 machines. So that's what we know we need to consider when we look at speccing out a PC. So here's a PC that I specced out. And I want to talk about this just a little bit here, but before I get to the total cost, but you can look over here and probably add it up right away. I went with the AMD Ryzen 7 3600X, or 3700X. This is my understanding the only the cheapest Zen 2 Ryzen 7, and gives us 8 cores and 16 threads, so that matches our CPU on the consoles. Architecture and core count, although it is clocked a lot higher than the consoles. The next thing is when I went to look at this, one important factor was I wanted PCIe Gen 4, and something that I could not find cheaply was a chipset that supports PCIe Gen 4 other than X570. And this was very difficult for me to find a motherboard that I felt like was good, but this price is pretty set for this. This isn't a sale price. So I went with the Asus Prime X570P. It's a regular ATX board, so you're going to need a bigger case. But this supports our CPU and PCIe Gen 4 storage. Then I went with the cheapest kit of 2x8 16 gigabyte 2400 memory here. Honestly, that speed is really low. I hope this could be overclocked, but I don't know. You're gonna want to overclock this RAM for sure. But this price is fairly reasonable. You should be able to find that price pretty much for most 16 gigabyte sticks. You're gonna be looking at between $60 and $80. So that's not terrible. But then we get into the storage, and there's not a lot of NVMe drives that are 1 terabyte. I went with 1 terabyte of storage because the consoles are 825 and 1 terabyte. So this seemed the most comparable. This storage alone is $200. Just the storage. Most people are not going to recommend getting a terabyte of PCIe Gen 4. Honestly, if it were my build, I'd drop this down to a 500 gig stick if I could find it, and I'd get like 2.5-inch drives, SSDs for my games, and only the games I really need this for I would put on it. But this is about comparing it to the consoles, so $200. Yikes. Now the video card is a special case. My understanding with the RTX 2070, it's hard because NVIDIA didn't put out teraflop numbers for their cards, which was kind of frustrating, but they put out their some weird marketing term. But what I found from Google searching over here was that this thing is around a little over 9 teraflops, which is not comparable to just straight up RDNA 2 teraflops, but we did need ray tracing, so I had to go with an RTX card. And I didn't want to blow the budget on a 2080 or a 2080 Ti just so I could get that teraflop number, because I don't see it as being super important here. This is close enough. The 2070 Super, that's a $500 card. I'm not sure how much it would have cost to go with a 2080 or a 2080 Super, or a 2080 Ti, but this was $500. I could have gone with the 2060, but we're going to get nowhere close to ray tracing 4K 60 frames per second. In fact, the 2070 Super probably can't do it in most titles at high settings. So this is the best option that I come up with. This is what I think right now is worth buying if you're going to buy it. I went with the cheapest mid-tower case I could find. This was $37. $40 for a case, you're not going to get much. This is an awful case for that price. I mean, everything's awful at this price range, but I just needed a box to put it in. And then I went with a branded 80 plus bronze 600 watt power supply, and that came in at $78. So the total cost that PC Part Picker came up with here, with using some places I've never heard of and then mostly Amazon, honestly, if it were me, I would try to save on shipping, and what you save on shipping, you'll end up spending a little higher cost by ordering some of this off of Amazon, but you get everything shipped at the same time. I would try to go through one retailer, but you're still going to come up with something around $1,300. This is insane. So here's the point. The new consoles are going to be like $400, $500, maybe $600. If they're $600, people are going to freak out and be like, these are so expensive. But I want you to consider something. A comparable PC right now in 2020 is $1,300. Will these prices change? Yes. Prices always change. Prices always go down. But in this case, last generation, when the new PC or the new consoles came out, there were all sorts of console killer videos. People were building all sorts of PCs from used parts or new parts, and they were able to get comparable performance of the base model consoles with decent modern games and price ranges that match the console. This isn't including Windows, by the way. This is including no other peripherals. Technically, a console comes with a controller, which is the only peripheral you need out of the box. This doesn't even include a keyboard and mouse. So I'm gonna have to rename my channel Squeaky Chair. But anyway, this is important. Like, we're not even close to we're over double of what we expect the consoles to be in a comparable PC right now. So when people think, well, Microsoft hurt their console by releasing all their games on a PC, absolutely not. Because what I expect would happen would be most users are going to try a game on the PC, realize that they can get better performance out of a console for cheaper than upgrading their PC, and they're going to go buy the console instead because it's just easier. It's plug and play. The updates come normally. You don't have a ton of the overhead that comes with building a PC and maintaining its software. And as a PC user myself, I can say this can be difficult sometimes. It's very frustrating when things don't run the way you want, or you get a new game and you need a new graphics card, or I had a GTX 970 for a long time. Now I have a 980. I haven't upgraded because I'm happy with the performance I get. I only game at 1080p on my computer, but if I wanted to get some more modern games on my PC, I need to upgrade my PC quite a bit. I built it right at the beginning of the DDR4 era. And then one other thing I want to check real quick, which I didn't think about till now, but Steam hardware charts. Let's so Steam does they poll their users, and we can see what the most common graphics card used. The most common graphics card used is the GTX 1060. It's not even a ray tracing card, it's a 1060. This is actually really common because the 1060 I think released at that like $300 to $400 price point. I mean, it was the 660 forever, then it was the 960, then the 970, and then it was now it's the 1060. The card is always a mid-range card. The 2070 Super is a higher end card, so even with this build I put together, we're not talking about the common use case. The common use case is around here. And then physical CPUs, 4 CPUs, I think this means how many cores. You have a lot of quad core gamers. That means i5s, older generation i5s, older generation i7s with hyper-threading. And then you have decent clock rates and normally 16 gigs of RAM. Some of this is normal, but free hard drive space. Total hard drive space. This is really interesting to look at. Primary display resolution is still 1080p on PC. So it's really hard to say that we're going to see PC eat into the budget of, or not the budget, but the sales of the consoles. I just don't think it will. If you are wanting to game at that high level, then yeah, you can go buy a PC, but these consoles are going to be very interesting. And I love being a part of the PCMR, but it's not going to last very long if consoles come out swinging like they're about to. But let me know your thoughts. Please comment on the video. Please subscribe. Please like. Do all the normal YouTube-y things. And share my video. Share it with your friends. If you had this discussion as well about consoles versus PC, share this video. This is, in my opinion, an interesting conversation to have. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.